Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely crucial. We're unpacking what is literally the ultimate product manager superpower in today's tech landscape. You know, the era of just grabbing a large language model off the shelf and hoping for the best? Well, that's officially over. If you're building AI products right now, you are fundamentally designing a relationship with data. And to do that successfully, you've got to understand the architecture that's completely redefining enterprise AI. Yep, we're talking about RAG. 70 to 90%. Just let that sink in for a second. That is the massive reduction in AI hallucination rates you can actually achieve when you move away from standard out-of-the-box large language models and implement RAG. Look, if you've ever watched a chatbot confidently invent a totally fake feature for your product, you know that hallucinations are an absolute product killer. This number right here, it literally represents the difference between a clunky prototype and a highly reliable production-ready enterprise tool. So what exactly is it? RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. Basically, it's an AI framework that improves a model's accuracy by fetching trusted external data before it even generates a response. You can think of it as the architectural cure to the frozen training data problem. So instead of relying solely on a model's static memory from whenever it was last trained, you're injecting your actual real-time proprietary content right at the exact moment your user asks a question. I love this analogy. Think of RAG as giving the AI an open book exam, or maybe assigning it a really fast research assistant. This brilliantly illustrates the core concept, because we're decoupling the quote-unquote intelligence of the model from its actual knowledge. The model brings the reasoning, the grammar, the ability to synthesize. But the RAG system, that brings the actual verifiable facts to the table.
Okay, so here's our playbook for today. 1. The AI knowledge problem. 2. What is RAG? 3. Architecture breakdown. 4. RAG evolution. 5. Real-world examples. And 6. The PM strategic choice. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The AI knowledge problem. Let's talk about why we actually need RAG in the first place.
Let's be real, there are some massive pain points baked right into base LLMs. First off, their training data is static. It's completely frozen in time. So if a user asks about a new policy you literally just updated yesterday, a standard LLM literally cannot know about it. Second, without that specific context, the hallucination risk is incredibly high. And third, think about your own workflow. Nearly 80% of a product manager's time is spent just searching for and preparing data. Standard LLMs don't solve this because, well, they don't know your internal data. We clearly need a bridge. Which brings us to Section 2, what is RAG? How do we actually bridge this gap? So, standard LLMs rely entirely on closed-book, pre-trained parameters. They're basically just guessing the next most logical word based on old training. RAG systems, on the other hand, pull current, domain-specific data totally on the fly. When a query comes in, a RAG system pauses, searches your actual databases, grabs the real facts, and then hands them over to the LLM to formulate the final answer. You are quite literally injecting the truth into the AI at the exact moment it's needed. Section 3, Architecture Breakdown. Let's look under the hood at how RAG actually works. This might sound super complex, but this massive engineering effort essentially breaks down into 3 really digestible steps. Step 1 is ingest and index. All your PDFs, wikis, and databases are chopped up into smaller pieces, we call these chunks, converted into numerical vector embeddings, and then stored away. Step 2 is retrieve. When a user asks a question, the system searches that vector database to find the most semantically relevant chunks. And finally, step 3 is generate. The LLM takes the user's original question, combines it with those retrieved chunks of truth, and synthesizes a grounded, highly accurate response. Pretty elegant, right? Moving on to Section 4, RAG evolution. Let's see how this tech grew from naive to agentic. It's wild to trace this timeline. Starting from the initial 2020 paper by Patrick Lewis, we kicked things off with naive RAG, which was just a super simple linear retrieve and generate pipeline. Then, by 2023, advanced RAG stepped onto the scene, introducing things like query rewriting and hybrid search to really tighten up precision issues. Fast forward to 2025, and agentic RAG emerged, completely transforming those passive pipelines into autonomous problem solvers capable of multi-hop reasoning. And today, here in 2026, RAG isn't just some cool feature anymore. It's core enterprise infrastructure that orchestrates incredibly complex workflows. And a really massive leap forward within this whole evolution is something called graph RAG. It essentially integrates knowledge graphs right into vector databases so the AI can understand complex relationships. Standard vector search is awesome for finding specific isolated facts, but it kind of struggles to see the big picture. GraphRag actually maps out entities and how they relate to each other, allowing the AI to answer really complex global questions across massive datasets. And the craziest part? Research shows it does all this using 26 to 97% fewer tokens. It's a total game changer.
Section 5. Real-world examples. Let's look at some actual SaaS implementations right now.
First up, we've got Glean, which is an absolute powerhouse in enterprise search. Glean uses RAG to ingest an organization's massive, honestly usually very messy, internal data. We're talking emails, Slack messages, Jira tickets, Google Docs, the whole shebang. So when an employee asks, hey, what is our new remote work policy, the system securely surfaces exactly the right snippets from across all those different platforms to generate a fully cited, perfectly accurate answer. Next, let's look at Intercom Fin. Now, this is an AI customer support bot done right. If a user jumps in and asks how to set up an integration, Fin doesn't just confidently guess. It uses RAG to search the company's official help docs, and crucially, it checks the user's specific account data, like their actual subscription plan level, to generate perfectly personalized, accurate setup instructions right on the fly. And for outbound sales, take a look at Ample Market. Let's say a sales rep wants to reach out to a brand new healthcare lead. Instead of writing from scratch, the RAG system automatically pulls the prospect's industry data, grabs your company's latest HIPAA compliance docs, and retrieves incredibly relevant healthcare case studies to craft a highly tailored, super specific sales email. It's almost like magic.
Finally, Section 6, the PM strategic choice. Let's talk about making the right call for your product. As a product manager, your most crucial decision here is often choosing between RAG and fine-tuning. So RAG is fast to deploy, it doesn't require massive retraining, and it gives you easily auditable sources. Fine-tuning, meanwhile, is generally costly and super time-consuming. You really only want to use fine-tuning if you need the AI to learn a very strict, specific tone of voice or a unique coding format. But listen, if your product relies on domain-specific knowledge that changes all the time, like inventory levels, HR policies, or product docs, RAG is hands down the winner every single time. But of course, once you choose RAG, you've actually got to choose which RAG architecture to use. Notice how moving from naive to agentic drastically changes the game here. Naive RAG is cheap and it's fast, maybe 100 milliseconds latency, but it's pretty basic. Agentic RAG gives you the absolute highest quality, handling all that multi-hop reasoning and self-correction, but look at the latency trade-off. It can take 2 to 10 seconds to respond, and the cost per query absolutely shoots up. So you really have to match the back-end architecture to what your users actually need and are willing to wait for.
And we have to talk about the 2026 pricing realities. A small-scale RAG system for a single focused use case, that might cost you around $8,000 to $20,000 to spin up. But a full-blown enterprise multi-agent system with full data governance, yeah, that's running anywhere from $100,000 to over $250,000. So the ultimate takeaway for PMs is this little formula. RAG performance equals retrieval quality times chunking strategy divided by cost. Because success is no longer just about picking a smart LLM, it's entirely about optimizing that entire retrieval pipeline. Which leaves us right here. RAG is an absolutely incredible tool, but if the retrieval step pulls outdated or totally irrelevant data, your cutting-edge AI is still going to confidently produce a completely wrong answer. So I want to leave you with this provocative question to critically evaluate for your own work. If your AI is truly only as smart as the data it retrieves, what does truth actually look like in your product? Are your data pipelines clean? Are your sources actually verified? Because as an AI product manager today, you aren't just managing features anymore. You are architecting truth. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.